assistance they need in person. So what we offer is homeowners can receive up to $500,000 plus an additional $100,000 for personal property. And renters have access to that personal property. I mean, that can be a car. I mean, that can be anything that is needed. Businesses and nonprofits can access up to $2 million. And the most important thing for people to know is that there's no cost to apply. There's no obligation to take the loan. And there are no payments and no interest accrues for the first year. These are very trauma-informed and designed loans. So what that means is, even if similar to FEMA, we cannot duplicate benefits. So you can figure out what you are eligible for in terms of grants. You can sort out your insurance. You don't have to wait for your insurance, which, I mean, let's face it, in a disaster like this, it can take a long time. When your insurance is sorted out, that recovery gets applied to your loan. Further, SBA will allow you to apply for 20% additional of the amount of your physical damages to mitigate future losses, which is very, very important, especially in a disaster like this, where it's probably going to require fire retardant, rebuilding, things of that nature. So, again, for businesses, it's a 4% interest rate, as low as 4%, and for nonprofits, it's 3.625. So I urge everybody to visit our table or go online. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you both for being here. Let me acknowledge Jim Featherstone, who is the director of the Emergency Operations Center, and he'll be here to answer any questions. Let me start off by saying, for those of you, we had a press conference at 8 this morning, and we talked about the fact that we're still not out of this emergency. We know in the next 24, 48 hours, it is possible that there are fires that expand, that we have additional problems within the city, and Jim can go into that in a little further detail in a minute. And so my message to Angelenos is that everybody needs to stay safe. Please, please, please listen to instructions. If you are told that you are in a warning zone, it would be advised that you actually take that opportunity to leave. Get packed, get everything ready. If you wait until evacuation, then you might get caught up in traffic, or you might have some other issues. And you know that a number of people who stayed behind for one reason or another have been severely burned. Some of them didn't survive. I believe that our Sheriff Luna gave some very graphic examples of people who didn't evacuate in time. Everybody wants to help the first responders. Everybody talks about the first responders. If you want to help the first responders, then please follow directions. But while we're going through what I hope is the final hours of this emergency, it's also time to begin to talk about our recovery. And so the first step of our recovery is opening this disaster assistance center for people to begin coming in now. As a matter of fact, this center will open up shortly. You know that everything is just being set up now. But we want people to come here. This is a one-stop shop. There are multiple local, state, county, and federal agencies that are here. And hopefully people will be able to get the services that they need. The other thing is that there is the disaster recovery, but then there's also the rebuilding. And so yesterday I issued an updated emergency declaration, and I also issued an executive directive that will help facilitate and fast track the building. I was here in 92, I was here in 94, and I know one of the ways that we were able to get out of that crisis was to do everything we could to help people who had experienced damage or had their businesses or homes destroyed get up and together and back on their feet by beginning the rebuilding process. I appreciated you, Mr. Fenton, when you talked today, this morning, about how there's all sorts of misinformation in terms of what FEMA has to offer, what SBA has to offer, and that is the point of this center, is to be able to clarify some of that to make it easier for people to recover. So with that, why don't I take some questions?
To that point about misinformation, what exactly are people entitled to from FEMA, and what are they not entitled to?
Yeah, so the application process starts with individuals able to, that evacuated or homes were damaged, be able to get serious needs assistance, which is a one-time grant of up to $770. That covers basic needs while you're evacuating, things like gas, water, food, maybe if you're a family, consumables, those kind of things. As you go through the application process then, if you're insured, you should go to your insurance company, which could help you with, most insurance policies will not only help you with home, but alternate living expense. If you're uninsured, you should keep on going into FEMA. FEMA could give you the two grants that I talked about. One is called Other Needs Assistance, which is a grant up to $43,600 that helps with personal property costs, medical and dental, transportation, funeral costs, and miscellaneous costs. The second grant is called Housing Assistance. And for the homeowners, it would help with repair, replacement, and lodging expenses reimbursement up to $43,600. In addition to those two grants, if you continue to be displaced longer and your house is destroyed, or whether it's a homeowner or a renter, you could get rental assistance from us, where we will provide rental assistance for you based on the family composition and size of your house for up to 18 months. And if we get to a situation where rentals are not available, we also have other forms and other programs where we either bring in housing or we lease with apartments and create housing that way. This is a decision when we start getting to temporary housing and more of the longer-term housing needs that people have until we rebuild. These are decisions that we'll work out with the local community to see what fits best for the displaced population they have, and we'll turn on those programs as needed. Those temporary housing programs do not impact the $43,600. I think what's key is that individuals that are insured have to go to their insurance company first. If they're underinsured, they could then come back to us and seek additional assistance for the underinsurance. The other rumor that I talked about this morning had to do with the 100% cost share waiver of the president. So the president waived 100% of the costs for the firefighting costs and for debris removal, which is going to be important to start the rebuilding process. He's done that for 180 days. That 100% doesn't apply to our grant programs. So our grant programs to individuals are already 100%. It's a direct grant, but up to that cap of $43,600. The good news is in the state of California, when you get a max grant, adds $10,000 on top of a house repair grant. So that's what you get from FEMA. In some cases, it may not make you whole, but it's meant to jumpstart recovery. And then other programs such as SBA and other programs will help you to make those next steps along working with philanthropy, nonprofits, and other organizations.
You did mention CBS Mayor on price gouging. California bans price gouging on rentals, so a landlord can't ask for an increase that surpasses 10%. But a prospective tenant can offer whatever they want. So realtors tell me that what they're seeing, rents are doubling, rents are tripling, and that is completely legal. For Californians who are being priced out of their neighborhood because they can't outbid their neighbors, what do you say to them? How do we just get ahead of it?
Well, first of all, anybody that would take advantage of the desperation that people feel right now, I just think is shameful. In the last couple of press conferences that we did, the 8 a.m. press conference, our DA was there, and he was very clear, and I've also spoken to our city attorney. both of them are very clear that they are going to be on the lookout for this type of thing. I also want you to know that the City Council is meeting right now, and I know they're going to take up this issue. And so it's something that we really have to go into, because we just can't allow that to happen. First of all, the rents are too expensive to begin with. And the idea that somebody would gouge folks at this point in time, I think, is shameful.
But it's not gouging. It's legal if the prospective tenant offers to pay more, if they bid it, if the landlord doesn't get them to do that, if they do that.
I think that that's an important legal issue that needs to be looked at. Possibly nothing. But I know one thing in my executive directive that I signed yesterday. It turns out that we had 1,200 units of housing that was ready to be occupied, but was stuck in the bureaucracy. So one of the things that my executive directive does is gets that online. So hopefully we should have 1,200 units of housing available in the next week or so. So looking for those things that get stuck in the bureaucracy. First of all, you know that I've been trying to deal with the bureaucracy from the beginning. And I feel like we've moved the needle forward a little bit, but not enough. And so this crisis that we have now that we're dealing with, we've just got to be able to get past this red tape. It hurts people. Thank you. Yes, Josh.
This began about a week ago. Some of our viewers, people who lost their home, people that are evacuated, they've told us that they feel as though you've been in the background. We know that you've been into the fire zone.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen you in the fire zone. We haven't seen you with evacuees. We haven't seen you with people who lost their home. We haven't seen you with the checkpoints. What is your response to that? Is this tragedy just too big?
Oh, no. Let me just tell you, I don't always bring cameras with me where I go, but I have met with evacuees. I have been in the fire zones. But I've also been trying to do everything that the city needs to respond to this as well. And so what are they telling me? Oh, my God. The absolute devastation. I met with a family a couple of days ago. And, when people are in the middle of grief, they're angry, the shock. Just when I went up, for example, yesterday in the helicopter, and you could see the devastation, it's unimaginable. And so to sit and talk to a family that left, didn't even plan to, they thought they were going to leave for a little while. They didn't think that the fires were going to consume their property in the way that it did, and they're left with nothing. And so to me, when I am talking to people like that, there's actually a woman here that I just talked to who lost her home, and she's here volunteering. And she's from Palisades, and she said that, I asked her how long did she live in her house. 44 years she left in her house. She's left with nothing right now. She's staying with one of her adult children.
And what is your plan to combat the misinformation?
Well, you know what? I know. Oh, my God. All you need to do is just add in the internet. The misinformation, the disinformation. When Mr. Fenton was talking this morning, I'm not sure he mentioned it, but he has a whole web page now that is basically rumor control. So as you know, and you've heard a lot of claims of different things, it's really important to me personally to not get stuck in that, to be a person that is telling what is actually going on so people get real information, first and foremost, so that they stay safe. But it's something that we have to do all the time, because in people's emotion and grief and anger and shock, it is not that surprising that you would have a lot of misinformation. So thank you. I appreciate it. Go ahead.
I have a question related to the folks who are insured and then also are asking for assistance with FEMA. He mentioned there's unmet needs. What kind of unmet needs are these folks facing, and will those be able to be resolved with FEMA or other agencies?
Yeah, so let me first start out with piggyback on the mayor's rumor. So if you go to FEMA.gov and do a search of common rumors, we have a whole site now that's capturing all the rumors we're seeing, and we're answering it with the correct information. So go on there if you have a question about some of the misinformation or rumors. With regard to assistance, I think that we've all seen in California a struggle with insurance companies. And even though a lot of people have insurance, and we are seeing a high level of insurance on this disaster, we know a lot of Californians are underinsured. And so one of the key changes to our legislation last year was we were not able to help those that were underinsured before. Now we can. So we can help those that have no insurance. Those that go to their insurance company are underinsured, they could come to us and get assistance, further assistance for that are uninsured. However, I expect there will be even additional needs above that. And that's where SBA comes in, Small Business Administration, the state's funding, philanthropy, nonprofits, working with businesses. They will work with those individuals through case management. And one of the things FEMA does is provide a case management grant to the state to help with that, including crisis counseling grants to help with the mental anguish of this event, to help work with individuals on what is their recovery plan, what assistance do they need. And it's a very individual situation for each individual. Everyone is going to have different issues and different needs, and we need to work them individually through that over time to help them get back to full recovery.
But do you have any examples of those unmet needs that those folks who may be underinsured and also are needing help?
Yeah, as far as examples of underinsurance, how much they're underinsured?
The unmet needs you mentioned, that was the word that you used.
Well, I think the unmet needs is there's many people in hotels right now. They're going to need further assistance to stay in hotels. The evacuation orders are still up, so we could offer displacement assistance for that. We also could put individuals directly in hotels. Some people don't have the cash flow in their bank account to cover costs out of pocket right now, eating out, consumables, this serious needs funding. I understand there's nonprofits like Red Cross that provide assistance. And so there's a number of forms of assistance to help with those needs that people are real needs that people are experiencing right now. Some people's jobs have been impacted. And so those are all unmet needs they have. And, their daycare may be gone. How do they care for their children and go to work? These are real issues that individuals impacted by this fire are dealing with right now. And we need to look across government, work with private sector nonprofit to help them through those, through not only today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year.
Can I call on Jim Featherstone to respond? I'll be back to you.
So I wanted to echo what Bob and Anita said, is that the survivors that come to the LACs and the DRCs, do your application before you arrive. It'll help speed the process up. So what you see here today is an example of a unified approach. This is the whole of government and working with nonprofits to essentially, as the mayor said, create a one-stop shop for the survivors. This is FEMA-led in concert with local, state, and county assets. Says essentially we have over 70 governmental agencies and nonprofits as a part of this. You've done the walk around with the mayor and Mr. Fenton, and you see what's here. It's a tremendous capability that's been set up, and as the mayor said also, we're not out of the woods yet. We still have some very precarious weather that we're dealing with. The city is at high alert. The Emergency Operations Center is still at level 1, its highest level of activation. So we're still standing ready, leaning forward. We hope that nothing happens, but hope is not a strategy.
As we move into the rebuilding phase of this, there are some critics that question the city's competence at building housing before this even happened and at dealing with the fires, and wonder whether the city can really handle this. What do you say to critics?
What I say is that the city can handle it. The city will handle it. We have come together before. As I mentioned, I was here in 92. I was here in 94. We did it then. We will do it now. And we have the extra burden, excitement, opportunity of the World Cup coming. And you know that prior to this tragedy, we were focused on getting ready for the world to come. We have to take care of Angelenos first. I know we will have LA strong. We will stand together. We will stand unified. I have just been I mean, it's very heartwarming to see the thousands of people that come out who have been offering supplies and goods and everything that people might need. I am completely confident that we will be able to do this because we will be correcting deficiencies in our bureaucracy in order to expedite the building. Let me just say, I can take a couple more questions, but we actually need to, I'll come to you next, but we actually need to clear out because the public is ready to come in. Yes.
Are you worried with the emergency alerts ongoing, people might be fatigued and they might not heed warnings?
Of course, I'm worried about that. And I'm worried about people trying to put out the fires themselves. You know, people have been caught and injured in doing that. That's why, even though this is the recovery center, and this is talking about the next phase, I just appeal to Angelenos, we are not out of this crisis yet. We still have another 24, 48 hours. And so, Angelenos, please be safe. Please heed the warning. If you get a warning, go ahead and pack up, and I would advise that you leave. Don't wait to evacuation. Yes?
Are you concerned that the president-elect will put conditions on the federal relief?
You know, I want to have a completely open mind to that and to the president-elect. I will tell you that I have talked to a member of his administration. I have joined in with the governor and the supervisor in terms of inviting him. And I know that the administration is looking, hopefully, to next week, shortly after the inauguration, that he comes. And then I also know that in the confirmation process, you know, a number of his appointees are also my former colleagues in Congress. Thank you very much, everyone. Understanding. Okay. When I said I have an open mind, I'm not saying about the conditions. I have an open mind to him coming to Los Angeles, to his administration, and to working with his administration. This is a crisis that impacts the nation. The nation's second largest city has got to succeed. And I want to make sure that everybody in Washington, Sacramento, LA, we all stand together to rebuild our city. Thank you.